What's up, everybody? My name is Ryan Thomas. You're tuning in to the Thomas Take Sports podcast, live on GrandstandSportsNetwork.com. Coming to you once again, bringing you the latest in mixed martial arts. Tomorrow, we got a very interesting card taking place. UFC 222, Cyborg versus Kunitsukaya for the World Female Featherweight Championship. Now, the UFC featherweight division for the women's featherweight division, is fairly new. And upon instituting that division, the first fight that took place was Holm versus Germaine de Randamie. De Randamie won that fight. It was in very, very highly controversial fashion. A fight that I thought Holly Holm should have won based on disqualification for de Randamie. De Randamie should have been disqualified out of that fight. Holm should have been crowned the champion, and I would have disqualified her. If I'm the ref in that octagon, I would have disqualified her. I don't care if it's a title fight. If anything, you should care more about a fighter doing things that are dirty to their opponent in a title fight. That would be more, there should be more ramifications for dirty, illegal tactics in a title fight. Watch it. It was terrible. It completely made MMA look bad, that fight, in my opinion. De Randamie versus Holm. That was the first title fight in the UFC featherweight division, the women's featherweight division. Then, after that fight, Germaine de Randamie vacated her title due to the fact that she did not want to fight Cyborg. So Holly Holm said, I will fight Cyborg. I was supposed to get the title shot anyway, due to the fact that I was illegally kneed in the head after the bell at least 5 times in my last fight, so I should get the next title shot. The UFC agreed. Cyborg versus Holly Holm took place a few months back. What a fight that was. That might be one of the best female fights that I've ever watched in terms of the technical ability of both Cyborg and Holm, the two completely different contrasting styles between Cyborg and Holm. Cyborg more of the power puncher, more of the Philly shell boxer slash, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu ace, whereas Holly Holm, the kickboxer, in and out, stick and move, side to side, front forward, foot forward, foot back, changing stances. She's just so elusive in there. And I thought her elusiveness, her precision striking, would be enough to eventually tire out Cyborg and win her the fight, win her that title. And that's not what we saw. What we saw was a fight between two very talented women inside the sport of mixed martial arts. We saw the rounds probably even going into round 5, and Cyborg losing the first 2 rounds, in my opinion. She put her foot on the gas 3rd, 4th, and 5th and showed that she's a true champion. At every point we have ever had a, critique of Cyborg, she has proven us wrong. I also forgot to mention there was a title fight before that. They had to revacate the titles. And it was Cyborg versus Tanya Evinger. That fight actually took place before Cyborg versus Holm. Evinger taking on Cyborg for the title. That was the co-main event for UFC 214, I believe. I'm pretty sure on that. So, 3 title fights on that card. Woodley Maya, maybe. I could be wrong on that, just off the top of my head. But regardless, Cyborg really has proven to me that she is the best in the world in terms of female fighting. She's the best in the world. Nobody better. And she can honestly make a case that she is the best of all time. And nobody would debate that. She hasn't lost in 10 years. She's dispatched virtually every opponent that she's ever faced, whether it's by TKO or just flush knockout or submission. She's a true animal. The only lady that went 25 minutes with her was obviously the Ronda Rousey career killer, Holly Holm. So that was an amazing fight. Now we sequel that to Cyborg saying, well, I put forth an outstanding performance against a girl that many people thought would beat me. Even though I haven't lost in 10 years, many people thought Holly Holm would beat her, me being one of those people as well. And now she moves on to fighting Yana Kunitskaya on short notice. This is a short notice fight. Regardless of how great she is, regardless of whether she's the best female fighter of all time, anytime a fighter takes a fight on short notice, that needs to be looked at positively and possibly negatively. Due to positively, I mean, she's tough. She's willing, ready, and able to fight. And it's a far cry from a lot of other fighters, Conor McGregor. But negatively, she's taking a huge chance here, taking on Yana Kunitskaya, the Invicta Bantamweight champion. A huge chance, because Kunitskaya is legit. She would basically, if the UFC had merged quicker or sooner with Invicta, Yana would be a top bantamweight. Really a great challenge for Amanda Nunes rather than Cyborg, but regardless, a challenge for Cyborg nonetheless. But I think this is going to be a very interesting fight. Yana has virtually nothing to lose. Cyborg has everything to lose. And in those situations, sometimes fighters react differently. Then in the co-main event, you have Frankie Edgar versus Brian Ortega, both of these fighters as well, taking this fight on quote-unquote short notice. Frankie coming off a true camp, whereas Brian Ortega is not. But apparently Ortega has been training hard for the past few weeks, or a few months, I should say, and the UFC was willing to give him that shot. Coming off of that huge win versus Cub Swanson, Frankie Edgar has been robbed of title shots, has been robbed of big fights in some aspects of his career. He's slated to take on Max Holloway. Max goes down. No Holloway. Edgar again, this time on the other side of the coin, the first time Frankie pulled out of that fight. So Holloway versus Edgar is delayed a little bit. We'll hopefully get a chance to see that, but Brian Ortega might have something to say about it. This guy is really tough. He can really submit anyone at any moment, maybe even multiple times. I thought he was about to choke out Cub Swanson early in the first round. Cub was able to avoid that, and survive for a little bit longer. But this is a hell of a fight. They keep throwing phenoms at Frankie. He just keeps putting them down. You also have guys like CB Dalloway versus Hector Lombard. You have John Dodson versus Pedro Munoz. You have Brian Caraway's fighting. You have Kat Zingano versus Thielen. You have a lot of fighters. Stefan Struve, Andrei Arlovsky. It's a decent card. Not a great card, but for a card that was pieced together pretty quickly, it's actually not that bad. It's better than some cards that were pieced together over the long haul, like the last one. The one in Australia, probably one of the worst cards, on paper in UFC history. This one's not that bad. Not too bad at all. I'm down with it. Am I down to buy it? That's another story. Am I down to put down my new pay-per-view price money of $64.95? No, not really. I'll probably go to B-Dubs, which I like to call B-Dubs. It's Buffalo Wild Wings for that one, and go from there. But regardless, I think that this is a good card. If I were picking the fights, I'd say, just in terms of the main event, the co-main event, Sean O'Malley is on the card versus a guy that I will butcher his last name, so I'm not even going to try. Even though I know the pronunciation, I will still butcher it. Sean O'Malley was on the Dana White Looking for a Fighter series or Dana White's Contender series, whatever show it is. I think it was the Contender series. And this kid's really, really elusive. He's got a weird look to him, the little, curls and the tattoos and scrawny. He's a strange guy, but he's entertaining and he's fun to watch fight. So I'm going to go with Cyborg, though. I can't side against her. I'm going to go with Frankie Edgar. I can't side against him. I'm going to go with Hector Lombard beating CB Dalloway, John Dodson beating Pedro Mujoz. I'm going to go with Andrei Arlovsky over Stefan Struve. And there you have it. I mean, I think it's a decent card. Mackenzie Dern making her debut in the UFC is big news on the prelims versus Ashley Yoder. I think she's going to get the W. I do like Ashley Yoder a lot. She's a great fighter, great person. Follow her on Instagram and have talked to her sparingly throughout the last few months about her preparation for the fight. And she's an amazing person. Trains really hard. I'm rooting for her, but Mackenzie Dern is a true phenom. And she's not going to be happy with my pick of picking someone over her, but it is what it is. So I'm Ryan Thomas. Ashley Yoder, please don't be mad at me. Take care.